Well, we're sitting here now with Doug Constantiner from Societe Brewing Company in San Diego, California.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm glad you could make it.
Thank you.
You know, it's kind of funny. I'm reading your interview, which we posted on the web, the full interview, and I got to say, you're probably the first person I've met whose parents got them onto craft beer.
Yes.
That's a hilarious story. Let's share that.
Yeah. So, well, my parents were always pretty good about trying to teach us about quality of food growing up. I wasn't allowed to eat fast food, stuff like that. And I remember even my brother getting in trouble because he drank a 40 one time and he got sick, so he got grounded.
He drank a what?
You know, like the Mickey's thing. So,
you're kidding.
One time I had some friends over and we had a 30-pack of Keystone Light, and we didn't know where to put the beer cans, so we just threw them behind my bed. And
of course. Where else would you put empty beer cans?
Right. Can't put them in the trash can. We'd get busted. So my mom's cleaning my room and finds them, and she was more upset that I was drinking, one, to get drunk, and drinking bad beer. So from that point on, she kind of said, look, I know I can't stop you from drinking, but if you're going to do it, you should at least know there is quality beer out there, and I don't want you drinking this mass-produced stuff. So she would go out and go to the local market, pick up. She basically based it off of labels, but bought me a lot of Rogue and St. Arnold, and she would give me like a 1 ounce.
Your mother
sip.
introduced you to Rogue.
Correct. So it was a good experience, and she taught me, that drinking should be done in moderation, and it's about quality and not quantity.
Yeah.
So that was, in the end, a great lesson.
So another anomaly is your career in banking.
Right.
So you set off with all these aspirations of being a very successful banker, investment broker, loan officer, yada. You know, another classic channel.
Right.
And that didn't work either.
It worked, and I was successful in it, and I actually really liked it. But the ultimate decision came down to that. I love beer and brewing more than anything else in the world. And
so you were homebrewing as a banker?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And homebrewing in college. The plan in college was to get into a job where I could make enough money to start my own brewery. I figured that would be...
Oh, so the whole banking thing was a brewery strategy.
Correct.
Smart, nice.
Yeah, it's, every day that I was in banking, I knew that there was somebody out there younger than me that was working towards the same goal I'm working towards. So it came to a point I said, I need to get out of this and get into the brewing industry as quickly as possible. My last year at the investment bank I was in, we had a private equity firm that I continually pitched to them to invest in small breweries on the East Coast. At the time, the only brewery that was owned by a firm was Magic Hat.
Yeah.
And so for 14 months, I was pitching them, the profitability and the growth in this craft beer industry. Ultimately, they kept saying, we're not food manufacturing investment people. We do biotech. So, hey, Doug, we're sorry, but we love that you're passionate about this, but we can't invest in it. When I told them I was leaving the brewery, inadvertently, I basically had pitched my own business plan to them for the past 18 months of my life. So they became the two biggest investors in Society 3.5 years later, after I moved. So
we are talking about more of a consistency than I gathered from your interview.
Right. Yeah, no, I was
You're
very
much
happy
more
and
premeditated.
Yes, I just didn't think things would happen so quickly.
Okay. So how did you and Travis, that's your partner, right?
Yes, correct.
How did you and Travis come together?
Right.
And put this package together?
So we were both at the brewery in Orange County.
Yeah.
Still in its infancy. I think we both joined when they were about a year old, and we worked together. There were only a couple of us at the brewery at the time, and I tell people jokingly that it was love at first sight. Travis and I were instant friends, and we never had any plan of opening a brewery together. After a couple years working together, we got closer, and this became he was my mentor and best friend, and the only person I've met to date that understands beer the way I do, which is he has the similar taste profiles and views it quality-wise the same way. and he says the same thing about me. He left the brewery for another job in San Diego, and we would frequently meet up for a beer. And one night, his new job wasn't going so well, and I was getting this itchy feeling that I wanted to, maybe start my own brewery. So we were at a place that's now our best account called O'Brien's Pub in San Diego, and
I've been there.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice place.
Home away from home for me.
Yeah.
And Travis.
It's a good joint.
So we said, well, let's start our own brewery, and that was October 2010, the week before Halloween. And I think a lot of people do that. They get together and they have beers and they want to start it. The difference is the next morning, 6 a.m., we were both up talking to each other again, and we started on the business plan.
So what were you guys doing in the brewery? What are your different vocational backgrounds?
So he came in as lead brewer.
Yeah.
And was lead brewer at the brewery. I came in as a cellarman, bottling, and worked my way up to brewer there.
Okay.
So
we got two basically lead brewers putting together a brewery plan.
Correct.
How does that work out as far as delegation and?
For us, it was pretty easy. Our relationship is very much like a marriage in that you should get along with almost everything, but you also pick your fights, and
nice.
Open, honest communication. So he could recommend something in terms of recipes, and I have no problem saying, he's completely wrong, and the same thing goes the other way.
So how does this translate into, I seem to recall you have quite an interesting mix of styles.
Well, so it seems like there's a lot of styles, but really we're focusing on a couple beers.
Okay.
We
Which
focus
represent what percent of your production?
Pardon me?
Which represent what percent of your production?
Two styles represent about 66% of the production. So we have an IPA line, which we call San Diego style beers.
Yeah.
It would do a disservice, and it would be wrong to call everything we do IPAs, because you have an East Coast IPA is much different from the IPAs you find in San Diego. So we moved to San Diego for the brewery because we like that it's very pale colored, hop forward beer. We're not looking for the malt to balance the hops. We're looking for the bitterness to balance the aroma and flavor. The malt should be there to support the hops, but it shouldn't be overpowering. This is a showcase of hops.
Okay.
That's what we feel is a San Diego hoppy beer, San Diego IPA. Then we've got our Belgian line. Basically, we love Belgians, and we're not getting too extreme with it. We've got a 6% Belgian beer that we treat like a lager. It's clean, crisp, refreshing, and same
But
time
6%.
has the complexity of a Belgian ale.
There's a little candy sugar.
No candy sugar. All of our beers have very simple malt bills and pretty simple hop bills. And,
Okay.
Belgian, we're trying to showcase the yeast and the malt, and we're using all European hops. We have two other beers in our Belgian series, now actually three. A Belgian Amber that's a lot like the Belgian Blonde, very light, dry.
Yeah.
A Belgian Dark Strong and a Belgian Golden Strong, also very dry. We don't like sweetness in our beers.
Okay, none of these are in that 66% you were talking about, right? You had
Basically all of them are, yes. Almost all.
No, what I was asking was you had two brands that make up 66%.
Oh, no. Everything sells evenly.
Okay.
Right, but what I meant is style category-wise. So when we enter stuff into a competition, basically everything goes into 2 or 3 categories, and that's it. So we want to focus on a couple styles and do it the best way we possibly can, as opposed to...
But you're doing different interpretations within those styles? Did I understand you correctly?
Yes. So
so you have families of beers
right.
that roughly follow an individual style, and you're interpreting within this.
Correct.
That's an interesting strategy. How's that working with your customers? Are they
they
following along with
love
this?
It. Absolutely. Well, San Diego's a great place to be for hoppy beer, and they love that we have, we've done 6 IPAs to date, all within the same alcohol range, color range, and it really gives people, the education that they need that there is more than just one IPA. When we opened the brewery, we opened the week of the CBC 2012 in San Diego, And we joked around saying that, we wanted 2 IPAs, same color, both 7.5%, because we want someone to come from Ohio and say, wait, what are you guys doing? Why do you have 2 IPAs that are the exact same? So we'll taste it. They're going to be extremely different. It's a showcase of hops. There are so many different hops out there that you can make whatever you want with them. And it's not just using the hops. I mean, it's a very powerful spice. But there's different types of curries. There's different types of barbecue sauces. There are different ways to do things. And that's how we see the IPA line.
Yeah, I was trying to remember, you said something of, you focus very hard in your interview on words like local, finest, all natural.
Right.
And yes, everyone talks about those, every brewer does.
Everybody
However,
says,
it seemed that you were kind of a little strident about this. What's going on with that?
That's the toughest question, because everybody says, quality is the utmost
It's
importance.
the same with balance. Everyone says it's balance.
It's balance, it's quality.
But what does that mean?
My perception of quality is delivery to the consumer. The second you package an IPA and send it across the country, the quality will diminish. I don't think anybody out there can argue against that. So our IPAs will always be San Diego draft only, and that's it. Maybe every once in a while they'll leave, and if we get lucky enough, we can go into LA or San Francisco.
Careful it doesn't come back and haunt you.
In terms of hurting the...
no, when you get to your 25,000 barrels.
Oh no! So that's another thing, is we don't want to get big. We see that there's we think and we hope there's a fine balance between making enough money and not getting too big. We want to get big enough to afford the good technologies that help the beer quality, but not too big to where we're not brewing ourselves. We don't want to have overnight shift brewing. We think that's somewhere between 12 and 15,000 barrels a year, and we'll plateau and we'll be happy.
Interesting.
We're not in this for the money. It's, I can't think of a worse scenario than sacrificing what I love most in the world for $1.
I have to comment that on your website, and as with your logo, I found that all your pictures were groups of people.
Yes. I'm actually surprised you were ever able to navigate the website. It's basically a WordPress thing.
It was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
I kept clicking, and there were always groups of people. And yes, you and Travis were in a lot of them, but it's like this logo you've got.
Correct.
And I went back and said, now I get the logo.
Right. It's about society. Beer is for society. The way I see it, and Travis agrees, and it's an affordable luxury. I remember Sam Calagione saying that a long time ago, but I don't think it's been emphasized enough that, for example, many people consider Pliny the Elder the best beer in the world. It costs $5. I go to O'Brien's and I get it for $5.25. The best beer in the world.
$5.
If you love wine, you cannot afford the best wine in the world. I don't care if you're making 7 figures as a lawyer downtown, or you run a tractor. Everybody can afford $5 for the best beer in the world, and it's a really inspiring thing that beer really brings everybody together. It's a great uniter. It's a social lubricant, and that everybody can partake. Nobody is too good for beer, and beer isn't too good for anybody. And that's the premise of society.
That's a tagline you just did.
It's what I believe in.
Nobody's too good for beer, and no beer is too good for people.
It's absolutely true, though. Just because it doesn't cost $100 a bottle doesn't mean it's not as good as some wine from a hard-to-get Napa winery. So it's everybody has the opportunity to experience the best in the world for an affordable cost.
You're absolutely correct. And it's really great that that's what informs your business.
Right.
So.
And keeping it local is the most important thing. Feeding the local community makes sense. I don't want to go to Portland and drink San Diego beer. I want to drink beer from Portland and Oregon, surrounding areas. I've come to DC, I want to drink beers from this region. Yes. I can get stoned back at home, and I drink a lot of Stone, but it's because I'm in San Diego. It's great to taste the flavors of the region.
That is an interesting tension in our industry.
Distribution.
How far afield do you send your beer?
not far.
No, I mean, that's the tension. How far do you send that?
Uh,
Well, that's good. I wish you all the success.
Thank you.
You clearly are thoughtful,
Thank
you know, and you've got a philosophy, and it really seems that you're doing that.
Thank you.
So, excellent. Thanks for your
Absolutely.
time.
Thank you very
Good
much.
luck.
Thank you.